Divas.
Yeah.
Part 4 of a 4-part series about common mistakes that ladies make. I'm going to say ladies, I'm not counting men. Ladies make when they go out dating later in life. And we're here to help you not make those mistakes, okay? So number 4 happens to be your values, your goals, your expectations. Don't skip over that part. This is a perfect time to stand tall in your brilliance and straighten your crown. And this is who you are and what you're about and what's important to you. You can even put parts of this in your bio.
Yes.
Most men don't read bios. Jeff reads bios, but most men don't. But that's okay because men are visual.
Just for the record, I don't read bios anymore. I'm happily married, so just wanted to set that straight.
Okay, but there are a few men out there who do read bios, and so pay attention to this. What are your values?
Yeah.
What are your values at this time in your life?
Yeah.
Because you certainly don't want to skimp on that.
Yeah.
Do you have goals at this time in your life?
Yeah.
And by the way, I did have goals when I went out dating after the passing of Pietro, my late husband. I was 58 by the time I began to date.
Yeah.
And I knew, this is really interesting, I knew I did not want to be with somebody who was retired and wanting to travel.
Or getting ready
because
to
I
retire.
had, because I had things I wanted to accomplish still. And I felt like I was just getting started.
Yeah. And you are.
So, yeah.
You're just getting started.
Yeah, and this YouTube channel was one of those things in my future. I didn't know yet, but I wanted to get this message out, and I wasn't ready to just hang up my hat and do that. So that didn't sound appealing to me. But anyway, so that was important.
Yeah.
Very important. That's deal breaker stuff, right? Because I'm not going to jump in an RV and start traveling the country.
Well, travel, first of all, is not your thing.
You know what? It's true.
But what you're talking, though, about is values.
Yeah.
If travel is important to you, and it's not to him, there's a couple I'm thinking of. He was wanting to get married, and she knew he's just going to want to sit on the couch. They were older couple. Yeah. He's just going to want to sit on the couch and watch TV all day, and I just couldn't handle that.
Yeah.
That's what she told Donna.
Yeah, and I did go out with a couple of guys who had different ideas about what their life looked like, and it was boring. I'm like, no, that's not going to work for me. Okay, you are anything but boring, honey.
But I keep saying this and saying this. If you will be honest and you will basically, if you'll follow what Donna is talking about on how to write a bio, again, if you're following her, she's going to show you a system. There's a link below for first of all, for freebies.
Yeah, grab
it. There's a link for her book. It's actually a very, very good read. I don't say that just because I'm her husband. I'm saying that because I'm an avid reader. Last year I read 53 books. I've read her books, and I'm like, you're actually a good writer. And a number of women have said, wow, this book changed my life. Yeah. My point is, when you follow her system, she's going to tell you to be honest. And when you're honest, there's somebody out there that when they read that or see that, or you go out on the first date and you get to talking about that, he's going to be like, oh my gosh, we are so compatible. I'm right there with you. I would love to basically drive around going to different rodeos all year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever that is.
Whatever it is.
What are your expectations in your life at this point? Like, this is a really powerful and cool time to be out dating.
Yes.
You get to know amazing people who have been through life. You're discovering who they are. You might end up with some friendships out of this.
Yeah.
You might discover that you really don't want to get married. You just want to have a travel partner.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong here, but the important thing is for you to understand what you're looking for.
Yes.
Be very deliberate about what you want.
Yes.
If you don't know what that is, sometimes it requires going through on dates before you really come to understand what you do want, right?
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that, but certainly shine your light because they're looking for everybody deserves to get what they want.
Yes.
And this is what I just told somebody this morning. I said, you deserve it and he deserves it.
Yeah.
So you want to be upfront right from the beginning because you're either on the same page or you're not. And it's okay to not be on the same page.
Well, I've heard Donna say this to countless women. So many different ones. Look, he might be a great guy. He's just not the great guy for you.
Right.
Don't get that confused. And a lot of times on our last video, we were talking about compatibility versus chemistry. Don't get things confused. Right. Are you compatible? What are your values? What are his values?
Yeah, and values could be religious values, political values, healthy eating values, exercise values.
Yeah.
Those are all values, right?
Well, there.
Okay,
and,
good.
Well, and what popped into my mind when you were saying that, just what's a deal breaker for you?
Right.
James Carville, and I can't think of his wife's name. He is one of the top Democrat strategists. She's one of the top Republican strategists. You talk about two people being on the opposite ends of the spectrum, and they are very happily married, and they love each other because that value system there wasn't important to each other. They saw things in the other that they wanted.
Yeah.
And even though that was basically their job, it didn't stop them from getting married and loving each other and having a wonderful relationship.
That is so cool, and it reminds me of us, actually. You're a born-again Christian. You've been to school. You went to a Bible college. I'm more of a spirituality. I love the spiritual part of God and angels and all the kind of woo-woo stuff. Some people would call it woo-woo. And I made sure he understood where I was coming from in the very beginning, because if it didn't sit right with him, it wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
Because values and beliefs are something you can't compromise.
No.
And you don't want to.
Well, I was just getting ready to say, why would you want to?
Right.
Why would you want to be with somebody that is not going to appreciate you for who you are, what you are, that they're I support Donna 1,000%.
Right. And vice versa.
Yeah.
Vice versa. Yeah.
And that's who you want to be with. And some things are deal breakers, and a lot of things aren't.
Yeah, and I wanted to say this, that's a great point. Some things are just like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I will say...
especially at our age.
Yeah, especially at our age.
At our age, you divas are basically midlife, older. You have a lot better idea now. You know what you want now versus when you were 20 getting married for the first time. I mean, let's be real.
Back then you wanted maybe a spouse, for a father or a mother for your kids. But, I was just going to say, the religious thing was a really important thing for both of us. We both put our faith first.
Yes.
And we put it differently. It's different for each of us. But we also understood that we wanted to dialogue about it, and we'd love to converse about it, but neither one of us is trying to force each other into our way of thinking.
No.
And this is so important. And you know what? It makes life exciting with you, honey. We get to talk about all kinds of stuff.
We do.
With no shutdown. There always has to be open dialogue with us. So anyway, we hope
I was going to say that would have been a deal breaker for Donna if I wasn't willing to have dialogue about life in general.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true.
Yeah.
Love.
So
thank you. Anyway, listen. As always, we want you to subscribe and leave us comments, because that just helps us keep this thing going. But at the end of the day, divas,
it doesn't have to be
that hard.